Oh, I was hoping that it picked it up.
I tried to do it just at the start. Should probably turn it down.
I think it's okay.
Do you? Yeah, you're right.
I think it's okay because I do noise reductions anyways, and it always corrects it.
You're the one who knows.
Debatable.
That's to the other side.
That's not gonna be pretty.
Oh, is the table?
Yeah.
Gong.
What the hell?
Why,
Stop
why
bringing it
Why
up.
are you pulling up iTunes?
You're on goddamn phone's fucking idiot. Alright. Anyways.
You're fucking... See, this is why you gotta get a Samsung. Fuck this.
God, I hate you.
I wasn't sure when I switched to Android, but I'm pretty happy with it.
Fuck you.
It's a lot
Keep
less
your bullshit propaganda out of you.
propaganda. What? I'm just telling the God's honest truth. I'm spreading the gospel.
Wow.
You're trapped in this... No, never mind. I was gonna go down a hole that I don't need to and use words I shouldn't use without knowing exactly what they mean.
Anything, show.
Fuck.
The ever prepared anything show.
Oh yeah, always.
Always. No camera because we chose to do no camera.
Because we should do kick camera.
No camera. But it's okay. Yerba mate. Back on it. Back on our bullshit. We're gonna try this, I guess.
That's the better tagline, I think, for everything.
Back
on our bullshit.
Yeah. The no camera is easy to edit, but we'll see. As long as we don't lose that one viewer, it's not necessarily bad. So
we're doing it for the kid.
Yeah.
Not the kids, just the kid.
Yeah, the one. So the obvious. It is Tuesday. We've had 2 days to just like seep and soak in this
marinade.
Yeah.
The ending of one of the most successful television shows of all time. Game of Thrones. How do you feel now?
I feel almost like I wasted my time.
You want those 10 years back?
I want what I invested in this show back. I mean, at least the last season. Like, here's the thing. This show needed to be like a whole 2 to 3 episodes longer.
At least, yeah.
Giving us 6 episodes with the amount of shit that we had to like close out is ridiculous, and it's fucking preposterous. I'm not happy with this. Here's the thing. Okay, so I like. I'm fine with Bran being on the throne. Spoiler fucking warning, I guess.
Yeah.
Whatever. Our one viewer...
You've seen the memes by now.
Yeah, fuck you.
His dick don't work.
Yeah, oh God, whatever. Whatever. I'm fine with him being on there because I knew that whoever was going to be on there was what George R.R. Martin wanted, because he told the directors and the producers who he wanted to be on the throne, and he told them, it doesn't matter how you get there, just put the person that I want on there. And that's fine. So I'm okay with Bran being on the throne. That's fine for me. What led up to it and the reasons why and the things that we didn't get closure to is what infuriates me. What the hell is the purpose of his three-eyed raven? What is like the purpose of Arya's whole fucking prophecy, the green, blue, and brown eyes? Like, fucking what was the importance of the continuation of like mentioning of Jon Snow being the true heir and the Rhaegar, Rhaegar, right?
Yeah.
Rhaegar Targaryen's like son. Like, what was the purpose of all of that shit if we were not gonna get it? A, in the closing episode, period, and B, closure at all. So, I'll pass it on to you because I can just keep fucking going because I probably will.
I mean, we're on the exact same page essentially. Like, I'm a lot more angry today than I was after the episode. Because after the episode, it was like, I've already been hurt so much by this season. This can't hurt me more than the last 2 episodes. So it's whatever. Like, I wasn't that salty about it. But the more I think about it, the more fucking pissed I am at how goddamn lazy everything was. Nobody made Dan and Dave have it be this short of the last 2 seasons. They chose it to be 7 and 6 episodes. Like, this makes so much fucking money. HBO would have done 20 episode seasons. Like, this is all on them, and they should be like professionally burned at the stake for the shit that they've pulled in these last few seasons. Like, it's garbage. Yeah. You were 100% right, and I agree with what you were saying. I'm not.
Wait, seasons plural or season?
I've been really disappointed in the show the last like 3 seasons.
Interesting. Okay, but
like 6 is all right.
Yeah,
but it has like some really dumb moments, and the writing is pretty weak. 7 is a mess, but it was like, okay, well, they're just like jumping around. Everybody's got fucking jetpacks. Like, all this crazy shit is like, all right, we're just trying to get to this last season where like we can have all these closure and all these cool things, and we didn't get in it. So all the shit that excuses I made for season 7 are worthless. But you're right about George R.R. Martin saying like, yeah, to D&D, to Dan and Dave, here's the ending for all of these characters, and they're gonna, like, even, like, George came out the other day and was saying, my books are not gonna be ending very differently to how the show ended. Like, they were simpatico, they knew how it was gonna end, but they had license to change up how everybody got there.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've sort of mashed up characters and changed characters' deaths and with other characters, and they've sort of mixed and matched, but at the end of the day, the books are probably going to be similar. But I'm fine with how a lot of these endings happened. It's
plus, we're not
the
getting the
middle that's bullshit.
We're not going to get that.
We're not going to get those.
We're not
problem. So this is all we get.
Yeah.
And isn't that fucking sad? Like, you were hinting at it, but my biggest frustration is we invested so much time in storylines that mean nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Why the fuck do I give a shit about Bran crawling to the north for 3.5, 4 seasons?
Yeah, exactly.
To get his superpowers when he does nothing with them. And then when it results in him being the king at the end, his line is, "Why do you think I came all this way?" Like, what a fucking douchebag line is that?
Here's the thing. I didn't mind the line.
That was just a middle finger to me.
I feel like
you, Nathan.
I feel like it.
You specifically.
Yeah, I feel like it was. I feel like that line. That line for me was like the best part of the whole episode because I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, fuck it, dude. It legit is that guy who just mooched off everybody just to fucking survive all the way till the end and take the fucking, like, gold. Like,
he went back in time, turned a friend into a mentally disabled person, and then let him be eaten by zombies.
This motherfucker is the David Tyree of Game of Thrones. He makes one astonishing catch. He makes one fucking play, and Bran's whole play is that he just fucking survives. Like, that's it. He doesn't do anything meaningful the entire season. He doesn't do anything meaningful his entire life, his entire career. He does shit nothing just to end up on top. David Tyree was a fucking like MVP of that game.
I wasn't ready for that comparison. That
But it
fucked me up.
works.
I guess.
So
see, but I don't hate David Tyree. I hate Brandon. He is like almost like he's right behind Sansa in my level of hate. Sansa is the most worthless character in this entire fucking series.
and they just did nothing for Arya. Like, why? They hyped her so much. And I don't think she ever killed the Green Eyes, did she?
No. Green Eyes was supposed to be Cersei. Because she's Green Eyes.
And if not Cersei, then fucking, what's her name? Dany.
She has purple eyes.
Fuck you.
Oh, so Arya's colorblind. That's the thing. So she can't tell what
She doesn't
eyes
see
are.
color. She doesn't see
Yeah,
color.
Arya's too woke.
Okay.
But yeah, exactly like Bran, Arya spent 3 seasons or 2 seasons across the ocean fucking becoming a master assassin, and we get 1 scene of her using that in the final 2 seasons. And it's an amazing scene when she kills Lefrays. Like, that's badass. And all of those skills and all that time we invested in watching her get those skills was great. It was fulfilling. And then she didn't use a face ever again. She didn't use any, like, subterfuge ever again. They set it up in the end of the last episode, The Bells, where Arya's, like, on the ground floor, like, she's seeing everything happen, and she rides out of the city
On
like,
the
to save
fucking
herself
white horse.
on the white horse. And then she ends up, at the start of this episode, still in the city with no horse. That was weird. But it's like, okay, so she's riding off after all of this hellish nightmare, and then she's going to have an agenda. And all she does is go to Jon and say, I know a killer when I see one. And then that's it. And then we see her sail away. Like, what the fuck was the point of everything if nobody does anything?
Can we
And,
talk about how... yeah, no.
Yeah, go. I was going to talk about Dany.
So, just... You know what? We'll wait for Dan. But... I feel like we were told to invest in so many characters with the understanding that everybody that we love and appreciate may end up dying in some like like gruesome or like random kind of fucking way. But oh man, I feel cheated. Especially for characters like fucking Jaime. Like, for almost 3 seasons, we were hyped up, we were led to think that he's changing, he's learning his ways, just to have him, like, I don't know, almost fall in love with Brienne of Tarth, and knight her, and then
he knighted her, if you know what I mean. I'm sorry, continue.
and then just use and abuse her and fucking like left her hanging dry. Like, fuck, man. Oh man. It, like, I just, I didn't, like, I don't know why. Why? Like, it feels like lazy, yeah, you're right. It feels like lazy writing. Like, you know, you hype it up, you lead us to this big moment. The moment happens, he like sleeps with Brienne, and they're like, they could be an item now or whatever. Just for him to moments later,
Yeah, the next night,
well,
he
not
fucks
even,
her again, and then he gets on his horse and then tells her like,
I'm
I've
leaving because
only
I'm
loved Cersei.
Yeah,
I've only loved my fucking sister.
exactly.
And she's like begging, "Don't leave me." And he's like, "I'm a bad I'm a
Yeah,
bad
like,
boy," and then walks
exactly.
away. And it's like, you, what, why is this what we get?
There's just so fuck, man. There's just so much that needs to be. And then I just didn't like. Like, we were also hyped up. Here's the other thing. an issue that I had with last episode also, like the episode 5, was like this whole hype up of freeing the Iron Islands and Yara Greyjoy and the Greyjoy fleet, the Iron Fleet, but then not having them there, like not using them. Like she just Danny like it feels like there's so many fucking holes that were just throwing sand in, and instead of solid ground, we just got fucking quicksand.
Yeah, because they couldn't. The dragons are either unstoppable or they're so vulnerable, and it just depends on what the storytellers want in that moment. Because Dany is just flying around looking at her dragons, and she quote unquote forgot about the Iron Fleet, even though 20 minutes in the episode earlier she's talking about the Iron Fleet. And then they get lit up. Rhaegal dies, and then it's like, oh no, these things are so powerful, they're gonna fuck up her dragon. The next episode, she just destroys 1,000 ships and destroys every fucking scorpion. Not even one gets close to her, and she didn't all of a sudden become an expert dragon rider in that time. No, it's just the writers thought it'd be cool if they could blow up ships with fire. Like, that's what I was saying in the last thing is. The last episode we put out, they want it to be cool. They don't want it to be compelling. They want it to be cool. And that's because when the show was at its best, it's when they were still going off the books. And they could crib off of what George had already written for them. And it made everything so great because the books are so great. And then when they were done, it was like, if you're all of a sudden in school and the kid you plagiarize off of goes into another class and now you can't copy off of him, you can like sort of sound like him, but you still have to do the work yourself and it's never going to be as good. And so we just got all this bullshit filler. Like, I was watching somebody talk about it and it was saying, yeah, ever since they ever since they came up with the books, there's been a lot more conversations about dicks in this show. And I didn't realize it until, there's a lot of talks about dicks. And who has them and who doesn't. Like, Jaime and Tyrion talk about dicks. Varys, Grey Worm talk about... Well, Grey Worm doesn't talk about his dick, but Varys and Tyrion... Tyrion's just, like, obsessed with cock. It's so weird. But it's just like, oh, this is funny? Tyrion's so witty because he makes funny ye old dick jokes. No. That's not why Tyrion's cool and smart. These guys just don't know what the fuck they're writing. But they had plot points, so that's why it feels like, oh, they got there, but how they got there is really weak and uninteresting, because they don't know how to write good characters.
You also know, you know what this... So, on the note of Tyrion, why the fuck was he the one who made the fucking final decision that they were gonna vote on the fucking... like, new leader of the fucking Seven Kings? Why? Like, why? Motherfucker's a fucking prisoner.
Yeah, why was he brought there? Why did Grey Worm bring him there to talk about Jon? What?
Yeah. And so that whole scene, when I watched it, I was cool with Bran. Like, when he, like, the moment the episode died for me was where... Like, immediately after, he was like, why do you think I came this far? I was like, nice.
I hate
and then they proceeded to vote on it. And I was like, this is just, like, it feels like just capitalist propaganda now. Like, we're just...
And they've already shot down democracy.
Exactly.
We should let the people have a say, and then fucking titty sucker Robin Aaron is like, huh. The poor people, fuck that.
Exactly.
And then it's like, oh, now we know what's best.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is pretty much what Dany was saying, but it's just like, only I know.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh no, we're a collective of, who the fuck are you people?
Yeah.
There's the one Dornish dude who no one has ever met before.
Yeah.
Why is Davos there?
Yeah, right? I think,
why is Arya there? She has no claim.
Yeah.
And, like, a good point that was brought up to me, all the Unsullied left the city at the end.
Mm-hmm.
They were the only people who were pissed at Jon, pretty much.
Yeah.
They were sailing across the sea. Jon be like, oh yeah, Jon's totally gonna go. He's sent off to the wall. Oh no. And then once the sailor's like, hey, fucking do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Rightful king.
Plot holes. Plot holes.
I mean, if the show is almost all whole and only a little bit of plot, could it be a... Well, this show sucked.
What the fuck are you talking about? Plot round? Oh, man.
I was so ready to be furious.
There's
that scene,
so fucking much going on here. That makes no fucking sense. I'm sorry, what were you saying?
I was... You're good.
Go.
I was really ready to be pissed in that scene you were talking about where Tyrion is giving his speech and then he like turns to Bran and says it should be you, that he was gonna fucking suggest Sansa. Considering they've like had them reconnect this season, and was gonna be so fucking pissed if they try to give that entitled bitch the throne. Because she's, I'm sure I've ranted about it before, she does not do anything. She does not affect the story at all. She's made 4 choices that affected the story in 8 seasons. And one of them got her dad dead.
That's right.
Like, because she was mad about her boyfriend, who was Joffrey. And, like, there are so many... She's done nothing. And then we get to end the season with her as the Queen of the North and everybody chanting her name like she wanted, even though she put no fucking work into anything. Like, I fucking hate Sansa.
How did... Yeah, she had nothing to do with, like, the battle, or any battle.
Which
right?
battle?
I don't know. Battles.
Well, when she escaped with... Well, I'm not going to say she escaped. When Theon helped her escape and rescued her, essentially, from Ramsay, she went to Castle Black when Jon was resurrected, and then they both left together, because he was like, I'm not going to be a fucking Night's Watchman anymore. And he's like, alright, I just came back from the dead. I'm tired of fighting. And that's where he was for a couple episodes. And she was like, no, we have to reclaim our home. Blah, blah, blah. And it was just fucking amping him up. And he's like, fine. We'll talk to the other houses in the north and rally up against the Boltons and go fight. And then, so I guess that's her doing something where she convinces Jon to go do that. But then after they've talked to literally every house in the north and get not enough men, but a good amount of men, and Jon's like, all right, this is all we got, so if we're going to do this, we just have to do it. And then Sansa, meanwhile, secretly wrote a letter to Peter Baelish in the Vale, like, hey, come help us. And Jon's like, all right, well, this is all we have, let's go. And she's like, no, we can't go, we don't have enough people. And Jon's like asking her point blank, who else can come to our aid? Who else can we ask? What else can we do other than do what we can do right now? And she keeps saying, I don't know, lying to Jon's face about it. And then that fucking gets how many hundreds and hundreds of Northmen killed because they're fighting a battle with less people and getting them all, like, just, like, surrounded. And if you see the end of the episode, like, Jon's, like, under a pile of bodies, essentially, because they're surrounded by all sides. And then the Vale forces come in and, like, help out. And then, like, Sansa's on a hilltop smiling like she did something. It's like, no, you got everybody fucking killed because you didn't tell Jon, hey, maybe there's an army of 10,000 people coming, and then they'll be fucking helpful. And she's, like, lauded as this, like, savior of the North for that. And it's like, what the fuck war were you watching? So that's Sansa. She just lies and gets her way. And she's a bitch. That's how I feel.
Bad words. You used a bad word.
Liar?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about the episode anymore. This is just me ranting about Sansa. I've got so many rants about her. She's awful. But, and what the fuck was up with the, like, Lord of the... You still haven't seen Lord of the Rings, you fucking idiot. But this show ended like the fucking Lord of the Rings in so many ways. And George R. R. Martin has been spending his entire career, especially in relation to this show, trying to shake his relation to the Lord of the Rings and J.R.R. Tolkien, George R. R. Martin, He's trying to shake
What
the
the
comparisons constantly, but he ends it very similarly to fucking... It ends on a fucking dock, exactly like Lord of the Rings, and people leave, just like Lord of the Rings. Oh, it was so dumb.
I don't know what to say anymore. I have so much more I can say, but I
Yeah.
don't know if
Just the thesis of what we've been saying is we aren't mad necessarily with where the characters ended, because the show, for at least for me, is all about the characters and what they do in
Yeah.
situations. So I'm not terribly pissed about where they ended. It's just the how that's fucking bullshit and insane and poorly executed. So it's unsatisfying when they get to these endings.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be mad about Bran being king necessarily. I was happy Arya got what she wanted and is sailing west of Westeros. I'm
Yeah, but
happy
they
Brienne
fucking-
is the leader of the Kingsguard. Like, I'm fine with these things, but just everybody got short shafted.
And look, okay, so
We still haven't talked about Dany. Like,
my friend was like, oh, the reason Brienne didn't, like, badmouth Jamie in the book is because of honor. And I'm like, okay, that kind of calms it down for me. But still, why the fuck would she write anything positive about Jamie? She just should have just left his fucking story dead.
I took it as she was literally turning the page on Jamie in her life, where it's like, I'm getting everything out. Like, he meant so much to her for a time. It's like, I will write this down, and I will turn the page, and then that will be it. And because she's a normal person, she will write the good things, and not just, like, do the fucking burn book meme from Mean Girls like everybody is wishing she had done. But...
No, here's
it's
the
just
thing.
like, I thought it was like a cathartic thing for her and just be like, and I'm done and I can move on.
That, like, okay, that helps me. But I didn't necessarily need her to, like, badmouth Jamie. I just needed her to not write anything for him down and then turn the page. Just, like, look at it, acknowledge it, and fucking turn the page on that motherfucker. Like, I don't need her to continue his story. Fuck that guy
She ended his story.
Fuck that guy for dying by his queen. His queen sister lover.
His queen twin sister. Mother of his children.
Fuck that guy. I don't need... Yeah, I did not need her... I did not need her to, like, write anything even moderately positive for him. I didn't need her to like, stereotypical girl kind of bad talk him. I didn't need that. I just needed her to, like, acknowledge, see it, and, like, maybe write down the date of his death or something like they do, and then just turn the page. Like, that's it. Don't fucking continue or write his story or anything. Just turn the fucking page. I just didn't need it. I didn't need it. I didn't want it. I feel like Brienne is too much of a powerful and honorable character to just belittle her by... like, I get it turning the page, but it just feels like... Oh, man, I don't know.
I
didn't
feel like
need
if she
that
had
shit.
done that, it would have sort of eaten away at her, because one of the things she's learned is how to express herself throughout the show because of how she was treated growing up and how anytime she showed any interest in anything, she would be mocked and heckled by boys and all those terrible things. So when we meet her, she doesn't necessarily say much. She's only talking about, like, the rule of law and all these things. But by the end of it, she was able to actually express herself to Jamie and, like, open herself up to other people. And so I think with that change in her, if she had just been like, no, I'm not going to do this, I'm going to keep what I think about Jamie inside and just move on, I think that would have eaten at her with how she's changed. So again, like, the turning the page thing is like, I'm just going to get it all out and be done with it. And this is my last things I'm going to say about Jamie. And she still loved him. So she was just like, so she would frame it in a positive context. So it's like, I'm getting out all of these feelings for this person, and I'm going to finish it. And so it's not burdening my life anymore.
Fuck that guy.
I mean, yeah, you're right.
did her wrong.
No, yes, of
He
course.
did my girl, Brienne of Tarth, wrong. Sir Brienne of Tarth.
Yeah, I mean, put some fucking respect on that name.
Yeah.
She's
Respect. Respect.
Respect her like Tormund would have.
See, that's what I want. I wanted Tormund and her to, like, oh, man,
They wouldn't have worked.
it would have been perfect. Yeah.
It would have been like the odd couple.
Tormund, but Tormund's like that guy who, like, pretends to be all macho, but realistically, once he finds that girl that he's just, like, head over heels for, he, like, just, like, melts. And that was him with Brienne.
But did he melt? He was just talking about how much he wanted to fuck her.
He
was like trying
was
to like woo her
googly-eyed.
with like sexual conversation.
But he was like googly-eyed over her. All
I mean,
googly-eyed.
Those are some pretty googly eyes.
Man, I don't know. And then
I
why?
mean, he is Giant's Bane, and he was like suckling on that giant's teeth, and she's like the
Yeah.
biggest woman in the world. So it's more just like, ooh, this is like a human but a giant.
Okay. Man, I don't know.
My last thing, I guess, because I wanted to talk about Danny and we haven't
Alright,
yet.
it's fine.
I was super annoyed with the fact that like they killed essentially the co-lead of the show, Danny,
Mhm.
and then there was 50 minutes left of the goddamn show.
Dude,
It was
yes.
so
Here-
early, and why the fuck? And they, like talk about like cribbing and stealing other people's writing. They just like stole every fucking Star Trek villain monologue and like any fantasy villain that's like, I'm the only one who can know what's right, and I will crush all my enemies, and anyone who comes after me shall feel the weight of my heel, even if it's a baby. Like, where the fuck? That's not who fucking Danny is.
Yeah. Here's
There's
the thing.
never been Danny.
I was fine with her becoming mad. I was not fine with her becoming the dictator. Like, I get it, just like losing your mind, having everything build up, having everything like just become so overbearing that you just snap. Like, it just snaps. And you just fucking lose it. Like, Mad Danny, I'm fine with. It kind of is almost like it becomes almost like its own prophecy. Like, you know, the Rhaegar or the Targaryen line is just because they're so fucking inbred. It's just like, it's all just everybody becomes mad. And I was fine with that. What I wasn't fine with was, yeah, you're right. Last bit of it, her, like, losing, like I was fine with her. The way I saw her almost in episode 5, again, which I was fine with, was like almost like the Game of Thrones female version of like Killmonger. It's like you have this just mind and philosophy, but you're willing to go through anybody to fucking fulfill it. And I get it. Like, again, you've got so much pain in your life from, like, the day you were born all the way to, you know, up to now. Killmonger saw his father, you know, killed and betrayed by his own uncle. She was raped, molested, beaten, sold, you know, saw people that she loved die before her eyes, killed, slaughtered before her eyes, her own children, quote unquote, with the dragons. 2 of them killed. 1 of them went and attacked her because he turned into a zombie or whatever. Like, I get it. I liked it. I was fine with it. Well, I mean, I didn't like it, right? Like, she was killing. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I was fine with it. I understood it. I didn't like the way that they just, like, complete 100 just dove into, like, well, now I'm this fucking dictator. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't fucking matter what anybody else says, what anybody else thinks. I'm going to be the judge, jury, and executioner because I fucking say so. Mm-hmm. Like, that, after that, they're just, you lose, it loses the philosophy. It loses everything. Like, even on Killmonger's deathbed, it was this still very spiritually just like philosophy, like bury me in the ocean where my ancestors jumped because they knew, again, going back to the fucking chains. Chain or death was better than than bondage, like than being a chain. Like she didn't the writers didn't continue that like mindset. There was no more breaking of chains. There was no more, like freeing of slaves. It was just now I got what I wanted and that's fucking it.
Exactly.
The spirituality is gone. The philosophy is gone. The mindset of like being this just person is gone. And they just like dove way far into it in this last episode that she like they just completely villainized her.
Mm-hmm.
Completely villainized her. There was no more anti-hero. There was no more like, again, there was no more mind or thought to it. It was just savagery, I'm the alpha, period.
Because she would do, in many seasons like ahead of this, she would do fucked up things. But it was always with the intention of justice for the people who can't defend themselves, or fixing an inherent wrong that demeans and like enslaves people, or any other negative adjective that I can't think of right now. But it's like when she crucified those masters in Marine,
Mm-hmm.
it's because they killed and nailed children,
Yeah,
then crucified them
yeah,
for like 173 miles to their capital. So she did to them. It's a fucked up thing, but it was in service of justice for those children, and also like
she gave him the death penalty for fucking murdering and raping and abusing children.
Or when she killed all of the calls in Vias Dothrak that were going to like kill and send her into a life of servitude, if not kill her, that was also ending, the I don't know, how do you want to call it, the patriarchal system where anytime a call dies, all the wives become like essentially like pre-slaves and like live in Vias Dothrak and have to like follow these archaic rules. And it's like, no, fuck these guys. I'm just gonna become like it's a bit dictatorial. It's like I'll kill them and be in charge of everybody, but it frees all of these people. She like named them Blood Riders, but like asked them to follow her, and she would do extreme things with the intention of looking out for people.
Mm-hmm.
They could have written this scene and made it a situation where she had to do fucked up things in order to achieve something. But no, they had her fucking trace every fucking street, alleyway, and corridor with Drogon before she even got to the Capitol building and kill Cersei. It was only with the intention of killing innocents, which, as you were saying, destroys the philosophy of Dany, breaker of chains, all that.
Yeah.
And it's so fucking disappointing. It's like I'm mad, but I'm more just disappointed with it than anything.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just disappointing. I feel... Yeah. I don't know. I will say that whole scene with Drogon and the fucking fire and the throne, like, I appreciated it for the, like, emotion that it gave. Like, you could feel the pain, but...
Well, he nuzzled her like a puppy.
Yeah.
And that was cute. Yeah. Did he think the chair killed her?
No, I
think...
think...
Is that what it was? Because
no,
he breathed around, but he kept focusing on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, no, so I think it was, Drogon was, like, is smart enough to, like, know that is why she died. Like, that's the way I saw it. Yeah, like, Drogon knew that was her goal. She was doing everything for, like, that possession, and it was just, like, anger.
He understands symbolism? As a dragon?
Man, fuck you!
It was, like a lot of the show, it was cool.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the close-up, and you could see, like, the holes in his mouth where, like, flames are coming out, and, like, it looked amazing. But, like, what? Why did he only burn the chair? He could have burned the whole building, or like burned a bunch of shit, and like the throne also burned. But he like only burned the throne. It's just weird.
It's symbolism.
That Drogon apparently understands. He understands metaphor and analogy.
Whatever, Nick.
I don't know, maybe it is like Lord of the Rings and dragons are smart.
There you go. Alright.
Got anything else?
No.
Fuck Dan and Dave. That's how this ends. Fuck them.
Be careful. Kit's gonna get really mad and tell you to fuck off.
They're gonna write a Star Wars movie, so expect for that one to be terrible too.
Oh, God. Yeah, that's right. They're supposed to write the next trilogy, aren't they?
I think it's gonna be a spin-off thing. I don't think it's a trilogy.
That's not what I heard. Alright.
Because they're already planning another fucking trilogy?
Yeah.
What?
Not for another, 8 years, but yes. And Dan and Dave were supposed to do
help
it.
us.
God save the Queen.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?